Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Unfortunately today, I'm sick as a dog. I don't know what's going on. It's that time of the year, we're getting close to Christmas and the weather's changing up here in Alabama, and I got all kind of congested stuff, so I'm gonna try to keep the talking down to a minimum. We got a shop right now, it's a Silverado, that we're fixing to swap out the front bumper and the fender and go ahead and paint it. And y'all check this out. So hit a deer. Got the headlight and the bumper and the fender, got a mollywopped right in there. And so I've actually already painted the fender and the bumper cap. We got her sitting over here. I ended up just painting it off before the vehicle came in. That way we can kind of do a swap out. We're going to throw you guys on a tripod and go ahead and get this front end tore down.
So right now what I'm doing is I'm just got my snap-on clip puller and I'm just going ahead and just popping all these clips out. I'm trying to do these videos where there's not as much just the music going and stuff, but then the voiceovers, they're kind of bland too a little bit. So basically, these Chevrolet trucks, you got to take that cover off to get to the grill, and there's a bunch of little snaps behind it, and sometimes they're really aggravating to get to, and some of them's kind of deep down, so they can kind of take you a little bit of a minute, but just stick with it, and you can knock them out pretty quick. And kind of like me struggling a little bit on each side, but they eventually, once you get one started, they kind of keep on coming, and then you get it out of the way. So once the grill's out of the way, I just kick it over to the side. And these bolts, if I remember right, on the Chevrolet truck, I think they're 18 millimeter from the top right there. I believe those are 18. And then they're 15s on the side. Sometimes they're 21s up top, but most of the time they're 18s. And it's just two right there. Some of the cat eyes got four. Once you get the 15s down the bottom, you just kind of tug it back and forth, slip it over that lip on the frame rail, and then it comes right off. Now me, I'm a Chevrolet guy, and I don't mind Fords, but I've just always had Chevys. I've kind of stayed away from Dodges, but I'll get down with a Ford and Chevrolet, but I'll work on a Dodge. Now, if a Dodge comes in, I'll absolutely work on it. Right now, I'm going ahead and knocking out the fender liner. It's a bunch of clips on these Chevrolet trucks, and some, I believe they're 7 millimeters. They might be 8, but I think they're 7. If you guys ain't got some clip pullers, man, get some. I used to have to use a flathead screwdriver when I first started doing this stuff, before I started learning about these clip pullers. And once I got one, I got different lengths, different angles. They come and save me a bunch of headache. And then also, you know, like right there, I've got a Milwaukee cordless ratchet, and I don't hardly use regular hand tools much anymore. It's usually always a Milwaukee Impact or like that ratchet. Saves a bunch of time, makes life loads easier. And there's my long clip puller, and there's a few little clips on the back that they're kind of hard to get to on the fender liner. Having a real long clip puller comes in handy. And I like these snap-ons. I'm not a snap-on guy, but I've got some snap-on tools. They make some really crazy expensive tools that ain't worth the money, and then sometimes they got some stuff that is worth the money. Clip pullers, 100% worth the money. Now, these Chevrolet trucks, the apron and the fender, they're all together, which is good and bad. If it's in a pretty nasty wreck and it messed up the apron, that's really good, because you can swap the fender out, apron comes with it, and it's easy. But the downside is you got to take apart all this stuff, because it sits on top of the wheel well and the apron in a sense. So it's not just taking a few bolts out and taking the fender off, it's a lot of stuff. And then the hinge also sits on the fender. So anytime you take a fender off, you either got to take the hood off, or kind of like what I did, you put a prop in the way to hold the hood up. So when you loosen everything, it doesn't fall down on you or skin something. I've had that happen to me before when I first started doing this stuff. So it's good just to get you a prop, and that way it can hold the hood up. And I've almost got all my stuff together. I try to keep my toolbox kind of right behind me when I'm swapping out bolts and things of that nature, to where it's just back and forth. I'm not walking all the way across the shop, even though sometimes I still have to. It kind of makes having all your tools and a little tray to put your bolts in right close to you. Makes the job go a little quicker. And I've almost got everything, all these bolts right here off this hinge. I'm kind of checking the hood, and I believe that's what it was. I couldn't get a power tool back here, so I had to use a ratchet. And I got everything like that loose, and I swapped up a swivel socket over there too. But it's almost ready to come down. There it is. But luckily I had that prop in the way to kind of hold it from just falling all over the place. And I've almost got all my bolts ready for my fender. And then it's kind of just a little bit of wiggles because some of those wires sit on it and the fuse box kind of sits on it. But once it's off, I've got my other one I painted previously before the truck came in, because black, you can get away with doing that. If it was a pearl or some other different colors, you really need to blend. But black, you can butt match, and it looks a little shinier because a lot of black vehicles are all scratched up pretty bad. But in this case, that worked out real sweet. And all I'm doing right now is just transferring all my clips over and my hinge from one side of the fender to the other. But that's how that section right there where you can see where the fender's real thick is sort of like the apron's built together on it. When I was talking about earlier, it comes in handy in a sense on these nasty wrecks. So now I put some tape over the door to try to protect it, and I'm just really carefully trying to loop it up under that fuse panel. Normally this would be like 2 people doing this, but I don't have any help here. It's just me. And when it's just you, you kind of figure out how to do things on your own. Some stuff I still need to get help for, but a lot of stuff you learn how to do it yourself. When I used to work for somebody, we always had a couple guys around the shop, and I didn't really have to figure out none of this stuff because we always had somebody there. But now that it's by myself, it takes a little longer sometimes, but you actually get better at doing this stuff when there's nobody here to save you. You have to figure it out, and it can kind of be painful in the school of hard knocks in a way, but all those lessons you learn the hard way, you don't never forget. And if y'all made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. I'm still getting the hang of doing some of this YouTube stuff, and I'm still not really the best at it. And doing some of the voiceover stuff or trying to catch all the what's happening and explain it to it, I'm still not the best at it, especially some of these other people's videos that I watch that are just awesome videos. And that's kind of where I'm learning at now. Like I was saying about the School of Hard Knocks. Now I'm in the School of Hard Knocks. I'm learning how to do some pretty cool videos on the stuff that I really enjoy getting to do, which is work on cars. I really love doing it, even when it's aggravating, even when there's the headaches and who made this and why don't this paint match and we got to redo something or something like that. I still really enjoy doing it. I'm kind of wanting to get where I can do a lot more of the YouTube and the social media stuff. But here's one of the tricks on putting a bumper on by yourself. I'd never put a bumper on by myself before I started working for myself. There's always 2 guys, and you can do it. You just got to be crazy careful and slow and just try not to scratch nothing or drop nothing, and you can just kind of slide it up on there. And now I'm going to drop in those big bolts I was talking about earlier. I'm pretty sure they're 18s, but they could be a 15, could be a 21. They're all a little different. And I'll start with them on getting them screwed down to where bumper's not going to fall off. There's some bolts in there holding it, because you definitely don't want that happening. Once those are done up, I'm going to jump on the sides. And a lot of times I don't tighten everything tight until everything's kind of started. I just kind of get it in there a little bit. And now there's a little bracket on the bottom. It's an adjustment bracket, and I think it's 315 millimeters on it. And I got all that situated, and I'm gonna snap that grill in. Got a new grill and new bumper, new fender for this truck. Didn't get a headlight on the other side because it wasn't part of it, so it looks kind of funny having one new headlight then one really bad headlight. But I've almost got everything snapped in on it, and then I'll kind of just check my fitment, make sure I'm happy with everything, and then I'll go ahead and drop the bolts. Next after this, so I wet sand and buffed the fender before it ever come in, and I didn't really get I've got some of that footage. I was going to do another video with it, but it just didn't seem like real good video, so I kind of just got it to the side. But what I did is I went over the fender with some 2000 grit, kind of knocked out a little bit of texture I had in it and a few little nibs here and there, and then I used my rotary buffer and I run compound over the whole thing. And I was going to polish it, but I was like, I didn't want to polish it and then maybe scuff the fender while I was putting it on or something like that. So I was just going to wait till after the fender's on, it's good to go, and then I'll kind of do the finish polish, which is what I'm doing right now with a Reeps 21 and a yellow pad and some of the Reeps DA polish. And I really like that stuff. It's a really good polish, especially on black, because black can be one of the hardest colors to do any kind of polishing on, because it just shows everything, whether you're fighting some of the swirls or holograms or even the rag marks. And I've got this thing sped up. I think it probably took me about 30 minutes to really polish this one out on the back end. And if it takes you 30 minutes, it takes you 30 minutes. Where you kind of get in trouble, where I do, is when I try to rush this process and it looks really good inside, and you pull it outside and it looks absolutely terrible. So take your time on the polishing. It's not a race. Using a DA on the back end of it is kind of where I've switched to. I don't use a rotary buffer for any kind of polishing, just the compounding step.
That's pretty much how you do black. Like I said, we're gonna do a recap over it. For collision, not nothing crazy. Show car, nothing like it. I just hit it with some 2000, then some 3000, then compound and a foam pad, and then polish on a dual action polisher with a yellow pad. But there's a bunch of different pads, combinations out there, a bunch of different polishes, compounds. A lot of them are really, really good. And you kind of just got to figure out what you like and, play with it and use it. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions about buffing black or anything, just leave them in the comments. Oh, the microfiber rags, the better ones cost a little bit more. You really don't want to get them from Dollar General. You can get like some decent ones from Walmart and Sam's Club, or you can get some real nice, let's see here. The rag company does some pretty good rags, and just the higher GSM ones. And that's a whole nother discussion, because there's hundreds of different rags, and a lot of them are good, a lot of them not so good. Thank you guys for watching.